President Obama's State of the Union speech was on Tuesday, and he presented several ideas meant to continue job growth and the economic progress the country is making. Republicans responded with skepticism, claiming that the president is in favor of some job programs but does not support the jobs created by the Keystone Pipeline. David, like any State of the Union speech, this was not going to set policy agendas. You have a Democratic president with Republican Senate and House. It's not going to change the world. But what were your impressions of the speech?
I wish he would eventually get around to following up on that promise he made in Denver at Mile High Stadium in 2008, where he was going to go through the federal budget line by line and get rid of waste. It was also interesting to see this kind of greatest hits reprise he did of himself at the end of the speech about that wonderful speech he gave at the Democratic National Convention in 2004, and yet so much of what had come before was so partisan and divisive and class warfare-ish. He got elected president, as he reminded us, because he promised not to raise taxes on the middle class. Not one penny, he promised. His proposal is to eliminate the tax deductibility for 529 plans. That's what people put in special accounts to save money for your kids' college. That's about thrift. That's prudence. It's preparing for the future. He wants to destroy those. That's the opposite of setting a good foundation for our economic future. We already have a tax system that is more punitive towards upper income earners than Sweden, Britain, Canada, and he wants to make it even worse on them by playing this class warfare card, supposedly against the rich, but the middle class people with their 529 accounts are going to be huge collateral damage if his terrible ideas ever became law.
Eric, some of the ideas that President Obama was talking about with his agendas almost seem like if, going through the different kinds of steak you want if you're in a vegetarian restaurant. You can say all you want, but you're not going to get anything. So was there anything of substance that you had out of the speech, whether it's for the president or about the Congress, that is some substantive that something might come from this, or was it just another speech?
I find the State of the Union to be sort of stale theater, even on a good year. Mm-hmm. And this was not only stale theater, it struck me as sort of bizarre and weird theater. There's not a single thing he proposed, with perhaps some exception of some foreign policy pieces, that has any chance in the world of ever seeing the president's desk for a signature. It's all just kabuki theater. None of this is going to happen. You have a very divided Washington these days with different ideas, different governing philosophies. The soundbite moment of the speech was, as I don't know if it was David or you, Dominic, mentioned, David, when he sort of pointed his finger at the Republicans and reminded them he'd been elected twice, and to which a bunch of Democrats applauded, predictably at that point. But the ones applauding were the Democrats in the building. There are a whole lot of Democrats who are no longer there who might have had a different feeling about this, because there were a whole lot of Democrats and senators and congresspeople who had fallen on their sword for this guy. The number of Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives is at the lowest point since 1928. Think about that. Herbert Hoover was president the last time there were this few a number of Democrats in Congress. And a lot of them have paid the price for Barack Obama's policies, whatever. Lastly, it's good to know that we've turned the page, that the crises that he inherited or that have happened on his watch have all faded. At least that was the message of his speech. And then, within 48 hours, you see what has happened in Lebanon and the transition not Lebanon and Yemen, and the transition in Saudi Arabia, et cetera. So I think this sort of self-congratulatory notion of, I got it all under control, we can turn the page, we're in new calm times, just doesn't comport with reality.
Dan, has the whole idea of what a State of the Union speech is supposed to be used for kind of changed? I mean, was this President Obama's opportunity to say, yeah, here is my agenda. I know it's not going to happen, but telling the country, this is at least what I want, and if you like this, we'll pressure your folks to see if this can happen.
Right. This is the theater part of this. This was a guy who we were talking at one point about not wanting to spike the football. He comes and stands up, spikes the football. He didn't even win the game. He didn't score a touchdown, and he's spiking the football. It's the most amazing thing. But what it is you look at, as you said, the fewest number of Democrats sitting in the House in almost 100 years. When Bill Clinton lost the House in 1994, In '96, he came back, and his State of the Union was about the era of big government is over. Obama could have taken that tack, facing all these Republicans in that House, or he could do what he did, which is to set the stage for 2016. And to set up here's my agenda that I've been talking about, haven't done much on it. I had all these Democrats here. I didn't give you free community college when I had all the Democrats in Congress, but now I'm going to propose it knowing it's going to get killed, and we're going to campaign on it. And we're going to campaign on this class warfare and to say the rich guys are out to get you. Look what these bad Republicans did. They won't give you free community college. We're here to help you. So he set up this, I think, in a nice way for Democrats to campaign in 2016.
Patty, one of the big press points for this was the second to last President Obama State of the Union. I think because of the lack of tradition of eloquence that George W. Bush brought to State of the Union speeches, the speechifying from President Obama was always a big deal. But as we get towards the end of his presidential career, did it live up to the luster? Is it still a big President Obama speech, or is it same old for folks?
Oh, I think it became same old in 2009. And the problem is you still have to broadcast it, so you might as well try to drum up any interest you can. When we were talking about theater, remember the theater, at least in 2008, when he was doing the DNC, with the Greek pillars, was at least interesting. He did give a good speech then. It was energizing, and that's one of the reasons everyone is so disappointed now whenever they listen to him deliver these stale scripts where we know he is not going to deliver, except you won't need your 529 if we do get the community college. All kids can go there instead. You could actually blow up the template for the State of the Union. I mean, what's the difference? It doesn't have any effect anyway. No one comes through and does what they say. It's pretty interesting if you happen to watch his web interview with 3 web celebrities yesterday, the girl in the green lipstick, which I was going to wear, but I forgot. That was actually a pretty interesting, free-ranging discussion that I would have been much more interested to hear on Tuesday.